Afrekenen. Let's go Dutch. Okay. This is what foreigners expect when they move to the Netherlands. But is it true? I've lived in the Netherlands for 6.5 years and had a fair share of dating Dutch men. I even had one as a boyfriend. In this video, I will share with you my experience of dating Dutch men, which might be different from yours. As usually, please feel free to disagree with me, just do it respectfully. Alright, let's find out what it's like to date Dutch men. 1. Split the bill. Well, actually not really. I always offer to pay, but in 6.5 years I've been here, I have never paid on the first date because a man would usually get the bill. I have heard crazy stories about how cheap Dutch men can be, but this has never happened to me, so I cannot really speak to that. Number 2. Casual dating. For the first date you will most likely hear, let's go grab a beer. In comparison to other countries where you might get invited to dinner or wine or cocktail bar. Following the Dutch, doe normaal, je bent gek genoeg, it's absolutely normal here to just go grab a beer for the first date. It's considered casual and low investment way to get to know someone. Regarding this, I'd say that there are 3 types of Dutch men. The first group that thinks that why put so much effort in the first date if this might not work out? They might be willing to invite you for a cocktail or dinner at a later stage if there is a proof of concept, so to say. The second group doesn't really bother and goes along with doe normaal, so beer it is, not only for the first date, but for the following dates as well. The third group are a little bit of outliers. They are willing to splurge on the first date and enjoy nice experiences because that's who they are. They prefer nice, decent places to, let's say, Stratum Zijn in Eindhoven. Stratum Zijn is a place full of bars, and some of them look rather like student places. Number 3. Location bound. I didn't exactly know how to name this point, so hear me out. I was dating someone who comes from a village near Eindhoven and currently he lives in Eindhoven. One time he told me, I live so far away from my family. It's 15 minutes by car. When I shared with him that I'm considering going to Bali for 2 months just to explore and then I will come back to the Netherlands, for him it was a huge red flag. He thought that I was too adventurous. If you think that it's North Brabant specific, I'm going to politely disagree with you. I met lots of Dutchies from different provinces all around the Netherlands with the same type of mindset. My guess is because everything in the Netherlands is so close that moving from Eindhoven to Amsterdam or vice versa feels like a huge step for the Dutch people, let alone moving to another country. Of course, this is just a generalization. There are Dutchies who are as adventurous as I am, but generally speaking, the Dutch are very hesitant when it comes to moving away from their families. Some of them might be okay to go and travel temporarily, but most of them want to come back and live in the Netherlands. This point is quite personal and very subjective. Just because I'm fairly adventurous, I immediately notice the contrast between me and most of the Dutch people. But what about you? Did you notice anything similar? And if you're watching this as a Dutchie, does it resonate? Let me know in the comment below. Number 4. Not romantic. Dutch men lack sense of romance, and I guess it's because Dutch women are emancipated. What I noticed so far is that for a good relationship, it's sufficient to be faithful and treat each other with respect. It's considered shallow, impractical, and unnecessary to buy each other gifts or bring flowers to a woman. To me, treating each other with respect and being faithful goes without saying, but flirting, giving and receiving gifts, bringing flowers and doing small gestures, it all adds more flavor to a relationship, which is especially important when you look outside and it's just grey, dark and gloomy. So why not add some colors to your personal relationship? But this is merely my point of view. There are of course Dutch men who do get it, but if I had to generalize, I'd say that this is not the strongest point of Dutch men. But again, if Dutch ladies don't need it, then it works well for both parties. Number 5. Not gentlemen. I've heard crazy stories that Dutch men would slam the door in your face and how inconsiderate they are. I don't have personal experience there. They would not go an extra mile to hold the door open specially for you so you can enter, and it's kind of a romantic gesture. No, it's just common decency. I hold the door open for you, you hold the door open for me, so it's just about being nice to each other. If I have heavy bags, I need to ask for help. Then they would happily help. Once I was in a grocery store with a friend of mine who is Dutch. We bought lots of things in the store, and since I was packing it, I just grabbed bags and started carrying them. He did not offer to carry, he was kind of oblivious to the whole situation. But then when I said, hey, it's a bit heavy, would you mind helping me? He was like, oh, okay, sure. The same Dutch friend, when we are walking and there is a narrow space, I'm used to a man stopping for a second and letting me pass, and it flows naturally. It's not like he stops, waits, and then he runs after you. No, it's just a habit for men from certain countries. But this guy never does it. It's a little bit funny to me because it's not even practical. We cannot physically fit in this narrow space, so I always stop for him and let him pass. Number 6. Blunt. I was on the first date where a man paid. I said, thank you very much for the drink, I really enjoyed it. To which he replied, next time you are paying. This happened to me multiple times. If you're watching this as a Dutch, you're probably thinking, what's the problem with this, right? The issue I have with this phrase is not about the content. I don't mind getting him a drink next time. But saying this is completely unnecessary because it feels like a transaction. While it should be, in my opinion, a little bit less forced and rather light and playful, it takes away from this romantic vibe where he took me out, he treated me a little bit. Now we moved into this business vibe where I do it now, you'll do it later. Pleasure doing business with you, sir. Number 7. Live together before marriage. The idea of getting married before living together seems incomprehensible for most of the Dutch people. It's curious because research shows that couples who cohabited before marriage had a 33% higher chance of divorcing than couples who moved in together after the wedding ceremony. 33%. I know, I was surprised too, because to me it also sounds logical that you want to see how you're going to function together before committing to something more serious. On top of this, at some point you end up spending so much time together that it becomes unreasonable to pay for another apartment. But yeah, the facts tell us the opposite. Of course, we should acknowledge here that not everyone wants to get married. In fact, a lot of Dutchies believe that moving in together is a far more important milestone than signing marriage papers. Number 8. No is no. I've been here for 6.5 years and I've only met 5 Dutch men who challenged me turning them down. Most of the Dutch men would say, okay, fine, if you tell them that you don't see the point in going out with them again. I understand where it comes from. Dutch men want to be respectful towards women and want to make them feel safe and all this, but I sometimes feel that they give up too easily. I remember once I told a Dutch guy that I don't think it makes sense to continue dating, and I explained my reasoning to him. He respectfully challenged it. He acknowledged my point of view, but he showed me another perspective and gave me some time to digest these insights. So it's all about balance. Of course, you don't want to be that creepy guy who cannot take no as an answer and accept rejection. You also want to have self-respect and not bend yourself too much for another person. But engaging in a respectful, safe and gentle conversation, it's sometimes what's needed. Number 9. Family-oriented. While Dutch men might not make the most romantic partners, they are very family-focused. In some countries, when the baby is born, a man still maintains the same lifestyle, while a woman has to make all the sacrifices. In the Netherlands, you will see men rushing home after work because they have to pick up their child from daycare. They have a papadag where they don't work and spend the whole day with their child. In Russia, women pride themselves that they married someone who helps them with the baby. I never honestly understood this phrase. What do you mean he helps? Is it my work task that he has nothing to do with and he's so nice and amazing to help out? No, it's our joint project. We talk, align, divide responsibilities and do it together. So he helps me as much as I help him. Number 10. Loyal. When moved to the Netherlands, the idea of men going out was a little bit suspicious to me. In Russia, men go out to pick up girls. At least that was the case 10 years ago in my social circle. I don't want to offend anyone. It's probably not like this for the whole country and for all men in Russia, but that was the tendency I saw back then. But Dutch men who have a partner go out to watch football, hang out with their mates, catch up, talk nonsense, whatever, but not necessarily to pick up girls. To be clear, I'm not saying that this doesn't happen in the Netherlands, but what I'm saying is that it happens to a far lesser extent than in other countries I've lived or visited. I was studying with a Dutch man back in Germany. We were both in our early 20s. He had a girlfriend, so he was in Germany, she was in the Netherlands. And he would never flirt with me, or with any other girls. They got married recently, by the way. I remember being impressed. You are so young and so faithful. Then I moved to the Netherlands and saw that it's more like a rule than exception. While talking about Dutch men, it was not my purpose to criticize them. I just wanted to share my point of view and my experience, which has both its negatives and its positives, just like anything else in life.